despite the president's extension. And joining us now to talk health care and other issues is Indiana Congressman Luke Messer. He represents the state's 6th congressional district. He's fresh to Congress, having just been elected 1 year ago, but he's in the thick of it all. Let's talk health care. Can this be fixed?
Well, I think the thing we need to do in the near term, Rafael, is delay the program. You know, the president's made a series of promises that have turned out not to be true. He promised people could keep their health plan if they liked it. Clearly, that's not happening for millions of Americans. He promised if you liked your doctor, you could keep it. They promised that rates would go down. They promised that the website would work. Those things aren't happening now. And broad cross-sections of Americans of all parties believe that if the website's not going to work, we ought to delay implementation of any individual mandate tax. And I think there's some fixes that we can bring.
For example, give me some
to the law. So there's some. First, I think you start with the parts of the law that people like. 26-year-olds ought to be able to stay on their insurance. We need to deal with pre-existing conditions. I believe we ought to have a state-by-state system of exchanges for folks that have pre-existing conditions. It doesn't make sense that you be charged out of the marketplace if you're already sick. We ought to make some other changes though as well. We ought to allow everyone to purchase their health insurance with pre-tax dollars. So businesses can do that. Individuals ought to be able to do it as well. And I think one of the biggest changes we could make is to allow broader state competition, break down these state-by-state monopolies and say one simple thing, that if you have an insurance policy that can legally be sold in one state, it can be sold in every state. A combination of those fixes and a few others would make a big difference.
2014, will we see those fixes? Or will we see another government shutdown, which is the health care law was the thing that kind of led us to that sort of road? Will we see a...
I think the fixes we need in health care are going to have to come in a bipartisan way. Part of the problem with Obamacare is it was passed along only one party line. I think, frankly, as these policies continue to unravel, as this proposal continues to unravel, I mean, there is very real risk that millions of Americans that have insurance today may not be able to afford it or have it come January, February. My hope is you can see a set of bipartisan proposals that fix it.
Another big issue that's affecting our fellow Hoosiers is the issue with these tornadoes. Does the Federal Emergency Management Agency need more money? They're saying that they don't have enough money to handle all these disasters around the country. Would you see more money being shifted to that agency in the event that we need dollars here in Indiana?
Well, disaster relief is one of the clear things the federal government should do. And we're having a lot of debates in Washington today about a role of government that's bigger than it should be. I think, frankly, the president's health care law is an example of federal government overreach, trying to make it too big. But disaster relief is exactly one of the core priorities of the federal government. I would support further efforts to at least make sure we fund that role. I think here in Indiana, we've got a lot of families that are going through tough times. We certainly were blessed with the fact that there were no deaths here in Indiana, but it doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of the catastrophes that we need to be dealing with.
There was some congressional opposition to increasing funding for FEMA with what happened in New Jersey with the hurricane there. Do you think we'll find more opposition to these kinds of programs being funded at the federal level?
Well, the problem in New Jersey, and I actually voted against some of that funding for Sandy, was because it was laden with pork barrel projects that had nothing to do with the disaster.
So keep it to the disaster and you'll support it?
Yeah, of course.
Your hands are also on the issue of Iran. You said as a Hoosier on the Foreign Affairs Committee, why should Hoosiers be concerned about what's happening currently in Iran and in Syria with nuclear weapons?
Well, first, Iran's efforts to obtain nuclear weapons are a great danger to every American, frankly, everybody in the world. We need to take those efforts very seriously. We all want peace in the region. Our closest ally in the region, Israel, would like to see peace. I think we need to be very careful, though, in these peace talks that we not prematurely take away the sanctions on Iran. Right now, Iran's economy is being devastated by international sanctions because of their efforts to obtain a nuclear bomb. They want relief from that. I think there is talk that even by this weekend, there could be a peace treaty signed. We're all for peace, but it needs to be meaningful. What Iran must do is declare to the world that they will no longer seek the nuclear bomb, that they will end their nuclear program, and when they do that, we could lessen sanctions.
What would you like to see in 2014 accomplished in Congress?
Well, I think we need to get a budget passed this year. I believe you'll see it by the end of this, by the end of December. Okay. You know, a lot of times in Congress, people seem like junior high kids. They see their congressmen acting like junior high kids that won't do their studying for their test until the day before the test. I think it's great that we're already meeting. Frankly, I'm hopeful that both the rollout of the Obamacare and some of the pushback on the government shutdown will humble both sides, and we can come together with some bipartisan proposals that reduce spending and get America going again.
Congressman Luke Messer, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Please come back again.
Thanks.
When we return, our political insiders with the hot topics of the day. You're watching Indianapolis This Week.